Fishing Gurus is brought to you in association with Daiwa.
Welcome to another episode of Fishing Gurus. My name's Dean Macey, and as you can clearly see, we are not on a still water. Ladies and gentlemen, let me have the great pleasure to introduce you to my favourite fishing venue in the British Isles, the wonderful River Wye. Absolutely perfect just down here. We've got a canopy of trees on our near side, and to be honest with you, when I'm fishing the Wye, I'm more interested in their patrol routes than actual cover. But when it looks as good as that with a decent amount of depth underneath them, it's hard to ignore. So I think we're just going to wander down here. It's obvious that a few people have obviously been fishing it, but I'm going to give them a little bit of bait in all of these swims that I really fancy. Give them a little bit of bait between 3 and 7 droppers, not too much, and then leave them to settle for at least an hour to gain their confidence. It's seen a bit of pressure, as you can tell by the banks over the last few days, but I think we might be able to winkle a fish out here. Right, this is my bait dropper mix. I've been trying some different things out to be a little bit different to the norm over the last few trips barbel fishing, and all this is hemp, just normal hemp. Nothing flash about that, but what I've been doing is I've actually been stodging it up almost into a really sloppy ground bait mix and putting it in like that. So it's almost like balling it in, but because I'm using the dropper, I can guarantee where it's actually landing. So I'm going to swing it about 2 rod lengths out, just into the walking pace water, and just before it hits the water, just like you would do if you was fishing a spot on still water, I'm going to stop the bait dropper, and as soon as it touches down onto the surface, then you let it go all slack, because what you want is the bait dropper to go down dead straight in the column. You don't want it to swing back towards you. So nice and smooth. There we go, and that's how quiet we leave it. And that bait dropper with a slack line goes straight down in a dead straight line to the deck and opens up on the bottom and deposits all that goodness downstream. And hopefully after a few more of these, those barbel's whiskers will be doing all this sort of stuff. They'll smell it, and by the time we get round to fishing this swim, they'll already be on the bait. Now this is the banker. I've been assured, as you can see by the banks as well, that this produces the majority of the fish, this swim, on this stretch of river. So the reason being, and let me explain, there's a lovely overhanging tree there with the majority of the flow being pushed from that edge branch just directly out to the overhanging trees below us. And what that is what we call a crease. And these creases are basically conveyor belts where all the food that's washing downstream gets washed all the way along that line. Now, if the river was 2 or 3 feet up and it was pushing through, the barbel and the chub would be on the inside crease, on the slower part of the water. But where we've got almost perfect conditions today, so I'm not making any excuses, we should catch. Where we've got almost perfect conditions today, I expect them to be pretty much right the way on that crease. I'm excited, I'm out of breath, I ain't even caught a fish or put any bait in, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off at the head of that crease, and I'm going to progressively put bait droppers, only 5 or 6, and 5 or 6 droppers, bearing in mind we're going to leave it for an hour. It's not an awful lot of bait, but we're going to work it all the way down that crease, and then when we come back, we're going to have a little PVA bag of pellets with the hook bait, and we're going to do the same and work the way down until we find them. But hopefully, in about an hour's time, once they've got on that bait, they should be straight on that PVA bag. So here we go, same mix, a little bit of stodgy ground bait in that hemp, and hemp is the staple diet of almost every fish that swims in British waters, whether it's, there we go, nice and quiet, whether it's still water or whether they're or whether they're on rivers. Hemp is always the base of a spod mix or a bait dropper mix. And to be honest with you, it's very difficult to overdo it, but what you can do is get them preoccupied on it. And the person that works out how to fish it effectively on the hook is going to be a very rich man. There we go.